support one another in our individual spiritual journeys. And wherever you are in that process, we are glad you joined us today.
And also joining us today is our wonderful music team, Emma and Angelica. So happy to have you both with us.
And I am so glad to have you here with us.
And
Host today.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah. It's always a joy.
So let's take this moment to open in prayer as we normally do. So I do invite you to just close your eyes if you wish, if you're comfortable doing so. And so we just open our hearts and our minds right here, right now, to the presence of a spirit that we live and we move and we have our being. A spirit that is our source. A spirit where we are totally, completely one with that spirit. There is no disconnection. There is any disconnection only in us. So we just allow ourselves to feel the connection, feel the spirit that is here today, feel our connection not only with spirit, but in truth, we are all connected. Connected with each other here in this room and connected with all of those people out there that are watching, joining us by internet. So we are connected, one with each other. And in this oneness, we allow ourselves to feel gratitude. That is the truth of our being, the truth of our oneness. And in this oneness, we are always connected to all of the guidance, all of the love and the require. It is within us. Open to that peace, that love, that guidance that is always with us. And in this truth of oneness, we say thank you, loving Holy Spirit. So it is.
Our prayer chaplain for today is Susan Farbo. Be available for prayer after the service in the prayer room upstairs.
We also have a prayer box up here. So right here is our prayer box. And there are little slips of paper that you can write down a prayer request. So we do encourage you to write down any prayer requests that you might have for yourself, might have for some others. And we will, our prayer chaplain team, those prayer requests, they'll hold them in prayer with you. So there's the prayer box. Feel free to put in a prayer request, and we would love to pray with you.
And just a reminder, we also have online 24/7 prayer support with Silent Unity. The phone number is 1-800-NOW-PRAYER.
And now we've got some music. Angelica, what do we have today?
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start with Shine Your Light. If you'd like to stand, if you're able, and sing along, please do. Yep. You're good. Here we go. Shine your light, shine your light. Let your love be bold and bright, a flame that lights the darkest night. Shine your light. Be the best that you can be. Shine for all humanity. Love your neighbor, you and me. Shine your light. Shine your light, shine your light. Let your love be bold and bright, a flame that lights the darkest night. Shine your light. God is shining in my soul. Now I'm feeling full and whole, letting go of all control. Shine your light. Shine your light, shine your light. Let your love be bold and bright, a flame that lights the darkest night. Shine your light. Some say no, but I say yes. It's a choice to blame or bless, plus or minus, more or less. Shine your light. shine your light, shine your light. Let your love be bold and bright, a flame that lights the darkest night. Shine your light. Sometimes life can knock me down, but I will not despair. When I fall, you lift me up with the power of your prayer. Here we go, now we start. Everybody has their part. Show the world what's in your heart. Shine your light. Shine your light, shine your light. Let your love be bold and bright, a flame that lights the darkest night. Shine your light. One more time. Shine your light, shine your light. Let your love be bold and bright, a flame that lights the darkest night. Shine your light. A flame that lights the darkest night. Shine your light. Thank you, everyone. Great job. And next up, we're going to change the mood. Power of Now, a favorite of mine. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The power of now is always present, nowhere to be than where you are. The power of now flows oh so gracefully. The power of now is always perfect, nothing to be than where you are. The power of now flows oh so easily. Be willing to let go of everything you think you need to know. Oh, be strong enough to let go of everything you think you need to control. For everything goes away. Let everything wash away. The power of now. The power of now is always perfect. Nothing to, sorry. To the one, the power of now unfolds so peacefully. Be willing to let go of everything you think you need to know. Oh, be strong enough to let go of everything you think you need to control. For everything goes away. Let everything wash away. The power of now. The power of now. The power of now. the power of now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Unity Spiritual Center of Windsor is a progressive spiritual community that emphasizes personal growth, living consciously, and making a positive difference in the world. As part of the New Thought and the worldwide unity movement, we strive to be compassionate, inclusive, open-minded, service-orientated, abundant, and spirit-filled.
And unity teaches that each person is a unique individual expression of God. Our realization of that truth evolves as we expand our consciousness through prayer and meditation. Unity emphasizes that we create our experience of life according to the thoughts and the feelings that we hold in our mind. Affirmative prayer is the highest form of creative thought, while meditation stills the mind and heightens our awareness of our oneness with Spirit. Our oneness with Spirit, our oneness with each other, and our experience with all, our connection with all of life. So living from that awareness transforms our lives and our world.
And our affirmation for July is, this month we begin an exploration of the things that can be blocking our spiritual growth. You are invited to begin an honest self-inquiry to identify the beliefs, habits, behaviors, and any faulty thinking that is holding you back from being and living as your higher self, as your sacred self, the truth of who you are. Our affirmation for July is, I say goodbye to things in my life that are blocking my spiritual growth. Will you affirm that with me?
I
say goodbye to things in my life that are blocking my spiritual growth.
All right, it's time for our solo. Today, it's going to be Holy Now. All right? When I was a child each week, on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word, and to consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is, everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And everything was there, and now miracles happen still. And now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. It is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. Used to be a world half there, having second-rate hand-me-downs. Now I walk with the reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. questioning child's face and say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, having second-rate hand-me-downs. Now I walk with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, 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 everything is holy now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Angelica, and thank you, Emma, for filling in for Mike today. We're so glad to have you. Thank you so much. I love that song. I really do. It's by Peter Mayer. There's a beautiful YouTube video also that you can find with Peter Mayer singing it. Some beautiful photography. Anyway, it really lifts me up. And I saw a little red-winged bird myself just yesterday. So we have some of those red-winged blackbirds that sort of hang around our feeder. It's amazing what food how it'll attract birds. Anyway, so glad to have all of you here. You may not know it, but over on the other side of the border, where I live, we are about to go into our elections. And so I ran across this, and I just had to share it with you. So while walking down the street one day, a member of parliament is tragically hit by a truck and dies. And his soul arrives in heaven and is met by St. Peter at the entrance. And St. Peter says, well, welcome to heaven. And before you settle in, it seems that there is a problem. We seldom see a high official around these parts. You see, so we're not quite sure what to do with you. No problem, just let me in, says the man. Well, I'd like to, but I have orders from higher up. What we'll do is we'll send you one day in hell and one in heaven. Then you can choose where to spend eternity. Really? I've already made up my mind. I want to be in heaven, says the man, the MP. I'm sorry, but we have our rules. So with that, Peter escorts him to the elevator, and he went down, 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 down. And finally, he arrives in hell. And the doors open, and he finds himself in the middle of a green golf course. And in the distance is a clubhouse. And standing in front of it is all of his friends and other politicians who had worked with him. Everyone is very happy, dressed in evening dress. They run to greet him, shake his hand, and reminisce about the good times they had while getting rich at the expense of the poor people. They played a friendly game of golf, then dined on lobster and caviar and champagne. Also present is the devil, who really is a very friendly guy and a nice guy, who has a good time dancing and telling jokes. They're having such a good time that before he realizes that the time has gone, and everyone gives him a hearty farewell and wave while the elevator rises, and the elevator rises and the doors open to heaven where Peter is waiting for him. Now it's time to visit heaven, he says. So 24 hours passed with the MP joining a group of contented souls, moving from cloud to cloud, playing the harp and singing. They have a good time before he realizes 24 hours is gone. And St. Peter returns. Well then, you've spent a day in hell and another in heaven. Now choose your eternity. The MP reflects for a minute, then he answers, well, I would have never said it before. I mean, heaven has been delightful, but I think I'm better off in hell. So St. Peter escorts him to the elevator, and he goes down, 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 all the way to hell. And when the doors open this time, he's in the middle of a barren land, covered with waste and garbage. And he sees his friends all dressed in rags, picking up trash and putting it in big black bags, and as more trash falls from above. The devil comes over and puts his arm around his shoulder and says, I don't understand, stammers the MP. Yesterday I was here and there was a golf course and a clubhouse, and we ate lobster and caviar and drank champagne and danced and had a great time. Now there's just a wasteland full of garbage and my friends look miserable. What happened? The devil looks at him, smiles, and says, yesterday we were campaigning. You voted today. I thought you might like that. You know, most of us, right now we're in the middle of looking at Wayne Dyer's book, Your Sacred Self, making the decision to be free. And most of us grew up believing that, you know, who we are is this body that we carry around with us, and the roles that we play and the jobs we perform and the religion that we practice. And our lives are involved with externals. And at the same time, we see these externals, they're always changing. They're shifting, they're coming, they're going, they're appearing, they're disappearing. But at the same time, we are aware that somehow there is something within us, an inner self that never changes. And Dr. Dyer says the key to our spiritual growth and any hope of eventual enlightenment is to shift the focus of our attention from the outside of us to that which is within us. It is a change in our belief system. It's a change of perception, where we stop looking at life through the eyes of our ego, our false self, and its belief that we're separate and distinct from everyone else. And instead, we look at life through the eyes of our sacred self, or what we would call in unity our Christ self, that part of us that knows the truth of who we are, that knows that we're one with Spirit, that knows we're one with each other, that knows we're one with all of life. It's a change of perspective from being a human being having a human experience, of being a human being having a spiritual experience, to that of being a spiritual being having a human experience. So Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore said that the realization that man is spiritual being is the highest point of consciousness. Man never realizes what he is until he knows within himself that he is spiritual. This is the resurrection, the conscious knowledge that I am a spiritual being and that all things in essence are spiritual. So for the past few weeks, we have been looking at part 2 of his book, which is the 4 keys to higher consciousness. And we're going to continue that today. The first key that we explored was banish the doubt. And the definition of doubt is to call into question the truth of something, to be uncertain, to lack confidence in something, to distrust. And these, of course, are all just thoughts. And so our first key to high awareness, to a higher awareness, is to be mindful of the thoughts that we are entertaining. Our third unity principle states that we create our thoughts and beliefs. We create with our thoughts and beliefs. And we create reality through the thoughts held in mind. And drawing from an unlimited field of possibility, or God mind, we create our experience by where we place our focus and our belief. We can't determine what thoughts pop in our heads, but we can determine which ones we choose to cuddle up to. We have the power to choose the thoughts that we focus on, and that is an incredible power. So the second key to higher awareness, in a quick review, is to cultivate the witness. Dyer asks you to shift your perception and cultivate a higher aspect of yourself, which he calls the compassionate witness. Rather than thinking of yourself as a human being who has thoughts and feelings and behaviors, Dyer invites you to have begin practicing stepping back or outside of yourself. That process of stepping back takes you out of being submerged or lost in your experiences and thoughts and sensory input, and it brings you into self-awareness. So Dyer wants to show us that a new way of freedom from where you are witnessing your life. You cultivate the witness consciousness by becoming a neutral observer of your own life. The witness place inside is simply your awareness, the part of you that is aware of everything, just noticing, watching, not judging, just being present, being here now. In Unity, we speak of the Christ consciousness, and the Christ consciousness, I can relate that to the witness consciousness. The Christ consciousness is that part of each person within that knows the truth of its being, that knows of its connection with spirit, that knows that it is a spiritual being. And we have that within each and every one of us. Now, this witnessing just happens. The best you can do, so to speak, is to observe the mind. It is not that the witness arises when the mind quiets down. The truth of the matter is, the witness, your Christ consciousness, your true self, is always present. What obscures it is your mind and the thoughts that is held in it. When the mind becomes still, the witness is revealed. So as I noted, the sun shows up when the dark clouds move out. The sun is always there, but the clouds obstruct the light. And that's why we can't see it. Similarly, the clouds of doubt and worry and restlessness and emotional turmoil block the natural source of our happiness. And happiness and joy is our true nature. So just as we cultivate our gardens by pulling out the weeds, we cultivate our witness consciousness by pulling out the weeds of doubt and worry, restlessness, and emotional turmoil. Now, the third key to higher awareness that we discussed was shutting down the inner dialogue. In my last talk, noted that for people who measure such things, they estimate that our minds have 60,000 thoughts during the waking hours of every day. We essentially have the same thoughts we've had yesterday and the day before. Dyer says that our inner worlds are a frenetic beehive of activity with the same thoughts endlessly repeating themselves. And this inner frenzy is what Dyer calls the inner dialogue, an omnipresent buzz, if you will, in the form of silent thoughts. So most of this inner dialogue is a personal inventory of beliefs we've been trained to accept by others. Those thoughts include all of the beliefs about everything that you can possibly imagine. There's no limits here. Thoughts about family, relationships, sex, politics, history, your environment, criminals, God, everything. The thoughts come and go day in and day out in a repetitive interplay of beliefs. So our third key to higher awareness is learning how to shut this inner dialogue down. The Chinese sage Sang San gave us the following piece of advice. He says, stop talking and stop thinking, and there is nothing you will not understand. Return to the root and you will find meaning. Look inward, and in a flash you will discover or conquer the apparent and the void. So Sang San is counseling us to simply stop talking and stop thinking. This is the third key, in a sense, to the sense of peacefulness. That is a part of the way to our sacred quest, to find that peace within. And so last week, or the week before last, when I did that talk is available, and I gave some ideas and thoughts about how to stop that inner dialogue. So all of our talks are made available in our archives, both on our website, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So you can always look at a talk that you want to look at again, or you can find it on any of those platforms. So as thought flows in and out of our mind all day, as we cultivate the witness, remembering the truth of who we are able to witness those thoughts. And we witness those thoughts in lieu of identifying with them. And so, as I said, I'm going to be taking this even deeper next week in a talk that I'm doing called From Turmoil to Peace. So we're going to be looking at how the ego disturbs our peace and and the steps we can take to really shut off that dialogue completely. So our fourth key to higher awareness is what I'm talking about today, and it is freeing the higher self from the ego. For Dyer, the ego is nothing more than the idea that each of us has about ourselves. That is, the ego is only an illusion. But as he notes, it's a very influential one. Dyer writes that the ego is a mental, invisible, formless, boundaryless idea. It is nothing more than the idea that you have of yourself, of your body, mind, soul self. Ego as a thing is non-existent. It's an illusion. Entertaining that illusion can and does prevent you from knowing your true self. As I've noted before in previous talks, Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The New Earth, says that all that is required to become free of the ego is to be aware of it, to be aware of your ego, since awareness and ego are incompatible. Awareness is the power that is concealed within this present moment. Awareness, and that is why we may also call it presence. Awareness is a power that's concealed in the present moment, and that is why we can call it presence. And the ultimate purpose of human existence, which is to say your purpose, is to bring that power of awareness into this world. And one more quote from Tolle, which is appropriate here, and just as Dr. Dyer does, Tolle points out that our spiritual realization is to see clearly that what I perceive, experience, think, or feel is ultimately not who I am. We cannot find ourselves in anything out there, because all of that out here, it passes away. So in alignment with Dyer, according to Eckhart Tolle's teaching, you can begin to separate your true self from egoic mind by observing your thoughts, which Tolle calls watching the thinker. Thoughts come from your ego, making your ego the thinker. The part of you that can observe your thoughts without engaging them is the watcher or witness. It's your true self, your spiritual self, your Christ self. So according to Tolley's teachings, the ego only has as much power as you give it. And it gains power when you identify with it. Your ego is threatened by your true being or your true self, because when you connect with your true self, you realize that by contrast, you are not your ego. Okay, all right, why don't we do that real quick? Okay. So according to Eckhart Tolle's teachings, the ego only has as much power as you give it. And it gains power when you identify with it. Your ego is threatened by your true being or self, because when you connect with your true self, you realize that by contrast, you are not your ego. So you can feel your true being, your true self, when you are present in the present moment, in this now. So the ego is also threatened by presence. In the interest of self-preservation, your ego will do whatever it can to prevent you from being present and identifying with your true self. So the ego is the force that's pushing your attention always from the present to dwell in the past or the future. Tolle says that actually the ego cannot exist in the present moment. It just can exist in the past and in the future. So the mind can only function in the past and future because they only exist in the mind, in memories and projections. But the ego has no control over the present, so it pulls you away from this now moment. So Dyer in his book gives us some suggestions for transcending the ego and knowing our higher awareness. I want to go over those with you briefly. So he's made quite a few suggestions to help you get in touch with and transcend your ego. And his first suggestion is to make an attempt to know your ego. Try to determine when it's operating as the dominant influence in your life. Ask yourself, am I listening to my false self or my higher self? The more you can be aware of the presence of ego and how it is manipulating you, the less influence it has over you. And the awareness of your ego is at work. The awareness of your ego at work is the very first step that we need to take in order to tame it. His second suggestion is start keeping track of how frequently you use the pronoun I. Self-absorption is the work of the ego. The ego is all about me, I, mine. By catching yourself when you persistently are using I and then making a decision to take the focus off of yourself, you will be transcending your ego. Also, begin to view your ego, he says, as an entity, one that's sort of sitting on your shoulder. Remember that little cartoon with the angels over here and the devils over there on your shoulder? He says, think of your ego as one of those entities on your shoulders, and that entity has a purpose, that this invisible companion is always with you. It tries to convince you of your specialness and your separateness from God and from others. The more you listen to the entity, the more you're off of your sacred path. You will find that most of your thoughts and actions prompted by this invisible entity perched on your shoulder. It wants you to feel outraged when you are wrong, insulted when you're not stroked, offended when you don't get your way, and hurt when you lose a contest or lose an argument. So as you recognize and name this entity, you eventually will be able to ignore it. Ultimately, it no longer will play a dominant role in your life. The other thing to do that he suggests is practice listening to others and keeping the focus off of yourself. Concentrate on your conversations, on what the other person is saying and what the other person is feeling. This is called active listening. Dyer says you will be pleasantly surprised at how much you will learn and how purposeful you will feel. This is a way of restraining your ego and allowing your higher self to participate. Another one is to actively resist the habit of letting your ego run rampant in your life. Your higher self does not get bent out of shape when someone cuts you off in traffic. Your ego does. Your higher self does not feel offended, frustrated, irritated, or angry. As Eric Butterworth, one of my favorite and most popular Unity ministers, says very bluntly, he notes that people and their actions do not upset us. We are upset because we are upsettable. Dyer says the more you resist allowing your ego to be authoritative, the sooner the day will come when your higher self fills the space previously occupied by the demands of your false self. Another suggestion is to practice daily meditation, quieting the mind. The more time you spend shutting down that inner dialogue, the more you come to realize you are not separate from God. And you're not separate from all the other billions of souls around you. We are, and they are, just like us, are extensions of spirit. And Dyer believes that meditation, more than any other practice, breaks down the illusion of separateness. And there's different kinds of meditation, as we've discussed before. There's formal meditation and mindfulness and walking meditation. But remember, and this is something I do, I love doing walking meditation out in nature. I find that to be one of the most relaxing, best meditative spirits, where I just get lost in nature. But you have to remember that when you are doing a walk in nature, if you are doing walking meditation, you're not supposed to be doing a shopping list while you're out there walking, okay? You're not supposed to be thinking of the other things that you need to be doing. You need to be totally, completely focused on that time in nature, completely, totally focused to whatever type of meditation that you're doing. Another suggestion is to keep a journal and use it as a technique of observing yourself and the inner workings of your mind. Dyer suggests that you write down what offends you about other people. Try to discover what being offended does for you. Dyer says if you can be objective about it, viewing it from the perspective of the witness, you will come to see that what offends you is your ego at work, hammering into you over and over that the world should be different, that people have no right to treat you in ways that you find offensive. Your ego insists that you have a right to be offended, hurt, and miserable. Dyer says these judgments are the false idea of yourself, working hard, convincing you that the world ought to be as you are rather than it is. Another one is to give more of yourself and ask less in return. Jesus said that he came into the world to be not to be served, but to be of service. And he said if we are following him and are his disciples, then we too must find ways to be of service. Dyer says that when serving others becomes a priority, you will start asking in the form of a mantra, how may I serve? Dyer says, suspend the false idea of yourself as a separate entity in need of special caressing and become the one who does the caressing. Dyer tells us to remind yourself every day that the highest worship of God is to serve mankind, and that it is through these acts that your sacred self will be realized. Dyer says you do not need to convince others or yourself that you are divine. Do it indeed. Your inner awakening of joy and bliss will be a reward enough. So there's a quote by one of my favorite Indian saints, is Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. And he says, when you know that the world is one, that humanity is one, you will act accordingly. The key word here is know. And Charles Fillmore made that statement that I just recently ran across. The truth you know is the truth you use. Otherwise, it is only theory and has no power to change your life. We become the witness of this truth of oneness by purposely living and acting from and as that truth of oneness. So Dyer tells us higher awareness demands a new agreement with reality. In the past few weeks, we have explored banishing doubt, cultivating the witness, shutting down the inner dialogue, and freeing your higher self from your ego. And Dyer says you can practice these 4 keys to higher awareness anywhere, anytime, regardless of who is around you. He guarantees you that if you do, you will begin a new miraculous awakening happening in your life. So as you apply these keys to higher awareness, keep in mind that your sacred quest is really about having your highest self, your sacred self, your Christ self, make the daily decisions in your life rather than letting it be dominated by your ego. Or as I like to say, it's about getting your ego out of the driver's seat of your life and handing the wheel over to your higher self. Starting next week, we'll start in part 3, and this is just an extenuation of looking at the ego in all of its different ways that it interferes with our life and it interferes with us coming in contact with our true self. So we're going to be taking a real deep look at the ego and really getting some really good insights as to how we can overcome the ego and put our true self back in the driver's seat of our life. So my talk title next week will be Turmoil to Peace. And so if you have always wanted that peace beyond understanding, I just want to assure you that that peace beyond understanding is available. It's within each and every one of us. I've had the joy to be able to touch into that peace beyond understanding in some of the most horrific circumstances. But it's there, and it's within each and every one of us, and we're going to talk about getting in touch with that next week. So as I bring this talk to a close, and as we begin to prepare for a meditation, I want to leave you with one more quote from Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, by the way, Charles Fillmore and Myrtle met him at the first World Parliament, the first Parliament of World Religions. It was held in Chicago in 1893, and Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were there, and Swami Vivekananda was there as well, and he was one of the most outstanding keynote speakers they'd ever had. And people were just talking about him for years after that appearance. But anyway, so the Fillmores actually met him. So Swami Vivekananda says that the blossom vanishes of itself as the fruit grows. So will your lower self vanish as the divine grows within you. Okay, so let's prepare ourselves for our meditation. And what are we going to sing something here?
Maybe just a little bit of Power of
The power of now. Okay, so I invite you. Angelica's going to sing the power of now, and just a little bit here. But I do invite you to just go ahead right now and relax in your seat. And if the music comes, we'll enjoy the music if it comes. So I do invite you to just relax, bring your attention fully to this present moment, to this now moment. So the power of now. So we just take this moment to fully bring our attention to this present moment and allow ourselves to feel the presence of Spirit, that power that we find in this now moment. So open your heart and open your mind to this now moment and relax in that now moment, knowing that as we relax in this now moment, this present moment, that all of the wisdom that we could ever need is at our fingertips. So we open ourselves to that. Whatever we feel like we need in any way, it is within us. If it is healing that you require, that healing presence, that healing power is within you right now. And I invite you to connect with that healing presence and healing power. If it is wisdom that you want, I invite you to connect and know that all the wisdom that we could ever need is within you. Being one with Spirit, we are one with that wisdom of Spirit. So if there's anything that you need to know, we open ourselves to this present moment and receive the guidance that we need. And if you find your mind being unrestful, agitated, we know that we can bring our attention to this present moment, this now moment, and there is in this now moment a perfect peace. So we bring ourselves to that now moment of perfect peace. And we allow ourselves to rest in the silence and in that perfect peace within us. Open and receptive to all of the riches of Spirit, of all the blessings of Spirit. We open ourselves right now as we rest in the silence. So loving Holy Spirit, we are so grateful for this time of refreshment, this time of rest, this time of healing, this time of knowing that the peace beyond understanding is within each and every one of us, a peace that we can tap into at any time. So we are grateful for the rich, rich blessings, and as we go forth later today and into the week, we just ask that we can be the best, most beautiful, most shining light that we can be to every single person that we meet. Help us to be that light of the world that you said that we were. And we joyfully accept that. We gratefully accept being the light. And so it is. Amen. So again, if anyone has any, at the end of the talk, we always like to give an opportunity to, if there's a question, something needs clarity, a comment, if you have it, we'll give you an opportunity. We have Nicholas here with the microphone, so if anybody does have something to say or comment to make or question to have, we're open for a minute or two here. Hi, Lucy.
I was reading somewhere just this past week that the idea that we could not exist without an ego. So it does serve some purpose then.
Oh, absolutely. The ego serves a purpose. It is our reference point. I mean, it is. I mean, it absolutely. The thing is, we don't want it to be in charge of our life. We don't want it to be because it's mistaken. I mean, it is made up of all of these beliefs that we have been fed ever since we've grown up. I mean, whereas one of my talks, we talked about how, our ego is made up of all the beliefs that we have been essentially programmed with from the time that we are brought up. So we have all of these mistaken beliefs, but we absolutely have to have the ego. That is part and parcel of this earthly experience. We just don't want the ego to be in charge or in the driver's seat. So,
thank you.
Yeah. But absolutely essential. And there we go. Rose?
So I think what you're saying is that the ego is not what we are. We are our higher self.
Yes.
But it's something that we have.
Yes.
We have it.
Right.
Something that we need, we have to use to connect, like in this world.
Absolutely.
So it's a tool. It's more like a tool.
It is a tool.
Not what we are, actually,
right. And
but a tool.
It's it's a tool, it's a program, and we don't want it running us, okay?
Yes.
It's a tool that we use, and it's absolutely essential in this earthly experience. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good questions. Judy over here. Hi, Judy.
All I want to say about the ego is it's never satisfied.
Oh, absolutely not.
And if you're in that mode,
Right.
that it's the ego that's controlling the situation.
Nothing satisfies it. It
No.
always wants more.
Exactly.
Always wants more. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
From what I understand, that there's like an unconscious ego and a conscious ego. The unconscious ego is the one that I think attached to triggers and woundedness. It feels fear. If it feels threatened, it'll react and respond to that threat or that external thing. But a healthy ego would be like when I wanted to open up my business 30 years ago. I really did need my ego. My ego was the one that was more driven, the one that had a purpose, the one that was filling needs for the self. However, it wasn't hurting anyone on the way out or on the way through. So it's the conscious ego tends to motivate or move you towards something without hurting others.
Good point, yeah. I mean, we all want to have a healthy ego, okay? I mean, because it's the unhealthy egos that are really, causing all the problems. Yes, we have to have an ego, but we really want it to be a healthy ego, and that's where therapy comes in. I mean, therapy can definitely be helpful there to help us develop, and get out of our wounded child and all of that. Yeah. Okay, unless there's something else real quick, we're ready to go. Oh, okay.
Well, David, am I good? I'm good. I'm always good.
You're great. Okay.
I'm great, yes. Is that working? Yeah. It's working? Well, David, I want to thank you for that wonderful talk. I always enjoy what you have to say and the way you say it. And I also like the feedback that
Yeah,
we
I do too. Yeah.
That's very nice. I like that. Thank you so much.
Sure, absolutely.
And of course, I want to thank our wonderful musicians because they are our angels. Thank you so much.
And again, thank you, Emma. And Emma's going to be with us next week too, right? Maybe. Okay. Okay. It'll either be Mike or Emma. So. Okay. Okay. Well, and also I do want to thank Liam over here. And Liam is going to be leaving us, and he has been training Leo. Leo, raise your hand there. And there's Leo. So Leo's going to be doing our video when Liam leaves. He's going to Liam is going to Toronto. And then also I want to thank Bob over there who did our PowerPoint today. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Bob.
We appreciate all of our volunteers in the many, many ways. I mean, to do this, it takes a village. It really does. I mean, I'm so grateful for all of our volunteers, for our prayer chaplains, our hostesses, just all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So at this time, I think it's time for us to take at heart our vision, mission, and statement of being. And it's going to be shown, there it is, right there on the screen.
We have a global vision. Will you please speak it with me? Our vision is a world
Powerfully transformed
through the growing movement
of shared spiritual awakening. And we have a sacred mission. And will you repeat that with me? We inspire and empower spiritual growth to awaken us and transform the world.
And we have a personal statement. Not working. And we have a personal statement of being. Will you please say it with me?
I am a dynamic center of the Christ light, mighty to unfold my good and radiate that good to all. We're doing announcements first. We're going to do announcements. No, nope. Okay. That's okay. We have been having some issues with ever since we got here this morning, we've been having some issues with this sound system. So, actually...
I'll keep trying. Is
Hey,
that working?
there we go.
Is that working? Okay. We have a few announcements to let you know about. Check out our weekly newsletter for all the new upcoming classes and spirit groups in June and July.
And you are all invited to a Unity Summer potluck pool party at Maria Datillo's house, right here. Maria, she's inviting us over for a potluck on Saturday, July the 23rd. and you can get the information on our website, or ask Maria here. And RSVP, by the way, that'd be gratefully appreciated. So this is going to be, we'll kick off our first of many celebrations that the Unity Social Committee will be planning for us in the future. So we're excited to be getting back together in person and doing things. So that's great.
Volunteers are needed for our outreach program. Join the team to help develop initiatives which actively support the needs of our community. You may contact Donna V. or Reverend David.
And there will be a temporary pause in midweek meditation, and that will be resuming in September. I am going on a vacation, so I just wanted to let you know I will be here next Sunday speaking, and then I will be taking the full month of August off.
Gratitude as we close by speaking out loud or silently to ourselves our love offering prayer.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Peace song. Sorry. Take two. We're saying the prayer. Sorry.
Okay.
It's not my day. I apologize.
Divine love
In me and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Now we can do the peace song. Okay.
I'm a microphone hog, so. Okay, go for it.
I am power.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am present.
Wherever we are, God is.
I am divine.
And my friends, you are divine. Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. Thank you.